Hello, thanks for joining me. In this video, we're going to look at one of the most important core mechanisms that underpin how we relate to others and react to different situations. Now, have you noticed how some of your relationships are mutually fulfilling, supportive and constructive, and others are unsatisfying, frustrating and stress-inducing? Do you want to know the number one key factor that affects your relationships with others? Do you want to know how you really have only one of two optional base level reactions to your dealings with others? And do you want to know how mastering your ability to manage these reactions will empower you to be able to develop successful and productive relationships with others, whoever they might be? Do you want to know how your own behaviour can help others think and learn better? I really appreciate your desire to develop your understanding, and if you can stay with me for the next few minutes, I'll try to help you find straightforward answers to all of these important questions. So, how does this work? Now, it is true that we are highly complex creatures. However, we still retain a core mechanism inherited from the much simpler and more brutal times of our primeval roots. We have evolved very successfully by being able to find food while avoiding becoming food for others. Therefore, every time something new crosses your path, your base level primordial roots will instantly and instinctively create one of only two initial core reactions. You will see it either as a real or potential threat, or it will offer a real or potential reward. Your response, no matter to what degree you experience it, will impact you at many levels: physically, emotionally, psychologically, behaviorally, and neurologically. At the neurological level, when your brain flags something as a threat, the sympathetic nervous system is activated and will flood your body with hormones to prepare it for dealing with physical danger. Imagine you come across a snarling dog baring its teeth. You instantly start experiencing that familiar flight-fight reaction as your noradrenaline, adrenaline and cortisol levels spike. Your stomach churns, your heart pounds, your breathing rate increases, your palms sweat, your mouth dries, and you suddenly find yourself having impulsive and atypical behavioral reactions as the amygdala shuts down much of the cognitive regulatory function of the prefrontal cortex. Did you ever find yourself screaming out at the sight of something you found gross or scary? A little spider or a mouse perhaps? That happens when the amygdala has taken over control from the prefrontal cortex, which can happen in the blink of an eye. The prefrontal cortex is the key part of the brain that regulates your ability to think logically, analyze, make decisions, learn and remember. So being in a place where the amygdala shuts it down will cut you off from the cognitive mental functions you normally rely on to operate effectively. But recognizing and avoiding threats is only half the story. Our primeval ancestors also successfully channeled their energy towards finding the resources to survive by developing powerfully motivational chemical triggers in the reward centers of the brain, which help us overcome the physical hardships and dangers of finding food and to reinforce the importance of cooperating with others. Now, you too know those feelings only too well. Feel the pleasures of dopamine, serotonin and oxytocin neurotransmitters flooding your brain when you visualize a refreshing cool drink or a delicious ice cream on a hot day, or receiving a smile from someone you find attractive, a reassuring hug from a loved one, or sinking into a cozy sofa when you're dead beat tired at the end of the day. Now, one of the bonuses of neurological reward responses is that not only do they make us feel good, they also increase the cognitive regulatory processes of the prefrontal cortex, which improves our mental functioning, making us more able to understand and learn from what's going on around us, keeping ourselves in control and making good decisions for ourselves, and importantly for the health of our relationships, helps us to connect with and empathize with others. Now, it's important to understand that our physical and mental reactions are spontaneous. We don't have the ability to stop them. The masterful skill is learn how to recognize them when they happen and to manage our response to them. How you react to the physical threat of a snarling dog or the reward potential of a delicious ice cream are not hard to imagine. However, what we also need to understand is that every time you have an interaction with someone else, we are creating these same binary reactions. The success of the human species has been largely as a result of our ability to connect with each other. And since primordial times, humans have developed the ability to live and work together in groups, to find life-sustaining resources, solve problems, and provide mutual protection and support. For primitive humans, being accepted by or rejected from the group was literally a matter of life and death. Our ancestors' chances of surviving on their own outside of the protection of the tribe were not good. So, we developed a highly efficient chemical radar system, constantly scanning for and reacting to either the reward of connecting with others or the life-threatening failure to make connection with the group. Now, this system is essentially the same one our brains use to trigger our reactions to physical threats and rewards. Our world is complexly interconnected. Human interactions follow a huge spectrum of elaborate meanings and associations. However, we still instantly and instinctively drop every social interaction we have with others into the same two mental buckets. It will be tagged simply as a perceived threat or a perceived reward, negative or positive. Thus, those interactions with others that confirm that we are part of, connected to, and valued by the group instinctively drop into the reward bucket. They promote the release of feel-good neurotransmitters that help reduce stress, promote our cognitive mental functions. A rewarded person is a more motivated and mentally capable person. On the other hand, those interactions with others that make us feel unfairly treated, ignored, confused, shamed, rejected, or not valued will instinctively be dropped into the threat bucket. And our neurological response at a chemical level to these situations, similar to when we meet snarling dogs face to face, will make us more physically stressed and less able to operate mentally. A threatened person is a more volatile and less mentally capable person. Now, we are blessed with the gift of choice in how we behave with others. If we see our behavioral options in these simple binary terms, then we can make conscious choices to behave in such a way to provoke either a threat response or a reward response in others. The wide range of behaviors that will create feel-good reward responses in others include things like making eye contact, smiling at them, shaking hands, or other appropriate physical contact, asking them for input and advice, actively listening to them, acknowledging them, and thanking them. On the other hand, the types of behavior that will create stress-loaded threat responses include ignoring, scolding, criticizing, ridiculing, threatening, being sarcastic, being overly demanding, confusing others with conflicting or ambiguous demands, treating them unfairly, and failing to acknowledge or thank them. Once we can see our own behavior in these simple binary terms, it becomes much easier to see how we can manage our relationships with others to get the best from them. Learning to avoid threat-provoking behaviors and to rely more heavily on reward-provoking behaviors is a core life skill for all of us and an absolutely essential skill for anyone in a leadership role. So, there you have it. We have talked about how the neurological response to real or imagined threats and rewards takes you to two very different emotional states. That you either experience the physical and mental stresses of fight-flight when faced with a threat, or the satisfying dopamine-induced feelings given the possibility of a reward. We've looked at how the number one key factor that impacts your ability to develop productive relationships with others is how your behaviour will trigger either a threat or a reward response in them at this core neurological level. We touched on how one of the side effects of threat-reward responses is how they affect our cognitive regulatory mental abilities. When we are stressed by potential threats, our mental functioning decreases. And when we experience a feel-good reward response, it increases. And the final takeaway is that understanding how to manage your own behaviour so as to get more reward responses from others is the number one key to creating productive relationships, and is a critically important skill for everyone in a leadership role looking to motivate others to give their best possible performance. If you would like to explore further how your threat-reward response mechanisms affect leadership and the development of better employee engagement, please click on the subscribe button and check out my next video, in which I will dive into the social and behavioural aspects of this core part of ourselves in greater depth. My name is Nick Musgrave. I specialise in helping individuals and organisations achieve their best potential. In this series of short, bite-sized videos, I'll be exploring the many ways in which we can better understand the links between neuroscience, leadership, emotional intelligence, and employee engagement, and find ways to move up to the next level, both personally and as the leader of others. To make sure what I'm giving you is relevant to your own learning needs, please leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you feel, or if you have any particular challenges or success stories with how responses to behaviour affect leadership and employee engagement in your organisation that you'd like to share with me. Thank you for staying with me to the end of this video. Don't forget, if you like it, give it a like. And I would love for you to click the subscribe button and join me on this journey of discovery, and check out the next video in the Leadership for Engagement series for more practical tips on how to boost employee engagement for yourself and for the teams you lead.